Hi, my name is Brad, and I'm a single man who works in the service sector. I used to have an unhealthy relationship with money and credit. Eventually, I sought help, and my mind slowly was changed, and my attitudes have shifted over the years on how to deal with money. I found that once my heart changed, the tools that I found and used started to make sense and seemed to work better. So I'm here just to share some of the simple ways that I've come to create a realistic budget, just to share with anyone who's interested, and find small ways to include financial literacy in my spending plans. The budget that I live on is based on paychecks, which are paid, for me, they're paid every 2 weeks. And then the simple tools that I use are calendars. So I have this basically pocket sized, it's a pretty small, compact little calendar with dogs on it. And I write down my bills on the calendar so I always know what date and how much money to expect to pay from my accounts. And then the other thing I use is paper and pen. And now I've gone into the computer and printed off lines in Excel. You can do this in Word. But I've also done this very same thing on a blank sheet of paper. A lot of times I'll forget to print out one of these, so I'll just pull out a blank sheet of paper and I'll do the very same thing that I'm going to do on this video. Now, I've got two bank accounts. I just find it easier because one of them is connected to a debit card that doesn't charge anything when you use it. And also, it's just easier for some of my bills to get paid through there. And then the other one is a digital version of the envelope system. So the envelope system is one of those methods that when I was seeking the Lord to find new ways to think about money, the envelope system was one of those ways that really helped me. And that was there are a lot of videos on YouTube for cash stuffing and people who use envelopes for their expenses, and that was very, very helpful to me. I did find that it was difficult to go to the bank as many times as I needed to in order to get the denominations of cash that I needed, and I wished that there was some other way. Well, then I found a digital version of envelopes. I know there's a few that are out there, but I use the one called Cube, Qube, and so some of my stuff will be coming from the Wells Fargo account, and some of them will be coming from the Cube account. And every now and then I'll transfer from Wells Fargo to Cube or vice versa, depending on which bills are coming up. And if I have a lot of money in one account and not that many bills, I might put some of that money over to the other account to help pay for the bills over there or to get ready for the next pay period. So anyhow, as an introduction, that is where I come from, and I hope that this kind of video will help you, or at least give you some ideas. And so today what I'd like to do is just go over, since I'm getting paid this week, I'm going to put together a spending plan. And then my next video that I do, what I'll do is I'll focus more on sinking funds, which is something that I use for anything that is something that I pay for but not on a monthly basis. So one of those things is a haircut. I don't get a haircut every single paycheck or every single month. Another thing is that I use for that is car maintenance, because I add to the car maintenance fund in my sinking funds every single paycheck. And then that fund grows. So the next time that I need some car maintenance, I'll have money in that envelope or that account for my car maintenance, so I don't have to worry about whether I need to use credit or need to take money out of a savings account or something like that. So, okay, well, I know that this paycheck that's coming through is going to be just short of $1,200. I do work in the service sector, so my paychecks are not as much as some, a little more than others. It's kind of right in the middle for someone who lives in the Midwest. So I know that I have a rollover amount in my bank account. So I'm going to put that amount down here so I know where I'm starting. And that amount is $50.77. Just make that a little bit bigger here. And then I also know that my paycheck will be approximately $11.75, and that'll probably be give or take $10. So $5.75 is going into the Wells Fargo account right away, and then the rest, the $600, is going into the cubes. So my income for the Wells Fargo account is that section is done. So I'll take my phone, which is also my calculator, and I'll figure out the total of my income. Here it is. So I'll put that down here on my total remaining, or my totals for the income area. It's also the remaining amount that I have to use for the rest of the form there. And then I don't think I'm going to transfer any money from Wells Fargo to the cube area. I'll leave that blank for now. All right, let's go to the fun part, the bills that are due. Always fun to pay bills. And make this a little bit bigger. I think this can, yeah, that works. So I have some bills coming due that come straight out of the Wells Fargo account. One of them is a dentist bill that I've been paying off for a while, and they're not charging me interest for the next 12 months, so I pay them extra in order to get it paid before they start charging interest. So that's how much I pay per month, or that this month. And then I've got my internet bill that's coming up, and that one is $60.68, right? Then I have my car insurance, which is also lumped in with my renter's insurance. And I put on the dates that they're due, just as a nice little reminder. The dates are also written on my calendar. That's where I'm getting all of my dates from. And once I pay the bill, I write down the next due date on my calendar for the next month. Seems to work out pretty good. And then, so if I add up all my bills, comes to $343. And then so if you take this total remaining from the beginning here, my total income, and you minus my bills, then it equals what's remaining to be able to spend, which is $282.46. All right, so now we look at expenses. So for me, my Wells Fargo account, which is tied to the debit card that I'm able to use without having any fees on the ATM, that every time I get paid, I take out, I stop at the drive-through if they're open and ask them for 2 rolls of quarters, because we have a laundry facility in the basement of my apartment building, and they just take quarters, and $20 is enough to get me through 2 weeks of laundry. Then I also take $20 cash. And then I don't think I'm going to transfer any money to the cube. I'll leave that blank for a second, just in case I change my mind on that. But so we have, because we've got $282.46 remaining, and then I'm spending $40 on laundry and cash. So that really means I've got $242.46. And actually, next paycheck, I have a couple big bills coming due, and one of them is rent. So I do believe that I'm going to keep all the money over here and not put any into Cube. And then that way, my total here is $40, and my remaining money that's available is $242.46. That becomes my rollover for the next pay period, $242.46. Gives me some extra to start that pay period out. I'll add that to my income for my next paycheck, and that should be enough to take care of all the bills, including rent, for my next pay period. So, going over to Cube, I've got some other bills that come straight from Cube. We've decided that I'm not transferring any money over from Wells Fargo. So my transfer from Wells Fargo equals 0. So my total income is 600 on this half of the worksheet. Then on my bills, this time around, I only have one bill that's coming out of the cubes. So that one is my Netflix. And I haven't decided to cancel Netflix yet. Sometimes I think I'm going to, but then there's a movie or something and I decide not to. So for now, it's a low enough amount that I'm keeping it around. And the nice thing about writing this stuff out every single month is that I don't forget that I'm paying these things. If you've watched YouTube for very long, you'll see all sorts of channels being sponsored by companies that will help you cancel all of your online subscriptions. Well, if you're writing them down, if they're in your calendar, and if there's some kind of reminder, then it's not a mindless thing. And that's the thing that I have found, is that if I'm vague with my finances, I get in trouble. And ever since I've gotten a new change of mind about finances, the biggest thing that has happened is clarity. And so if I can help increase the clarity by writing things down, it just helps me in the long term. So all my bills come to $742. And then if I take 600 minus 742, that comes to this dollar amount, $592.58. Okay, so now expenses. My expenses are pretty much the same every pay period here for the main stuff. I've got groceries. Then I have a category that I call dining out, but it's also fast food. I used to have those as two categories. Just makes sense for me to have them combined. And then gasoline for my car. And then something I call household items. That can be kind of a miscellaneous because it really covers a lot of things. But it's, for me, clumping them all into household items has made the most sense. Then there are sinking funds, and that's something I'm going to cover in my next video. And so, groceries, I always do $200. Dining out, I always do $50. And then I used to have different amounts for these, but then I've just let experience be my guide. So if I find that I'm not eating out as much, I may decrease dining out. If I find that I always have a lot left over in grocery money, I may decrease that. But for now, for a while now, it's been really good. This has been enough to get me through, and usually there's a little bit extra at the end. Household items, $40. And then sinking funds. So I don't know yet how much is going to be left over for sinking funds. But I want to skip down to my savings. And so I have something that's called the 51 envelope challenge. This is something I'll cover in more detail in my next video. I have the 12 by 26 challenge, and I have the dice challenge, and I roll the dice 2 times. So let's start with the dice. That one's more fun. So I have or if you just go to Google, you can type in random number generator. And because I used to have dice, but I don't know. I moved and they're probably in a box. I have not found my dice yet. So what I do is I do this random number generator, and I put in the minimum number is 2, because like if you have 2 dice and you roll them, the least amount you would get is a 1 and a 1, and the most amount you would get is a 6 and a 6. So my minimum number is 2 and my maximum number is 12. And then I hit generate 2 times to roll the dice twice. And then I add those 2 numbers together. Now I did this ahead of time, and it came up to $14. So, or I think it was like a 9 and a 5. And so 9 plus 5 is 14. So that means I'm putting $14 in savings because of that challenge right there. Then the other one, 51 envelopes. I put $51 in every paycheck. And you'll see how that looks in my challenge envelopes for next time. Everything, whenever I say an envelope, it's always digital. I don't actually have physical envelopes, but I'll show you what I used to do too. And then 12 by 26, there are 26 paychecks during the year, and each paycheck I put $12 away. So I've got these 3 savings numbers, and then if you add all 3 of them together, it becomes $77. So that means that I have to have a remainder of $77 once I add up all of this. So we had $600 of income, and so far the bills came to $7.42. So now I've got $592.58 left to spend. Then if I take $592 on my calculator, and then I minus 200, and I minus 50, I minus 30, I minus 40, and I minus 77, the remainder is 195.58. And I think that's a really good amount for me to put into sinking funds, so that everything in my sinking funds gets a decent amount of money put in every single time. So that gets me to $77. If you add all of these up, they come to $515.58, right? And then if you take $592.58 minus $515.58, you got $77. You got the 3 savings challenges. They equal $77, which was my remaining money that was left. So at the very end, it's a 0. So it's almost a zero-based budget is what I do, except for I do allow for this rollover in my checking account because of the fact that I know next paycheck I'm going to have some bigger bills, and that's going to help me pay those bills. So thank you so much if you've made it this far. If this is the type of content that you like and you appreciate seeing online, I would like to encourage you to give it a like and comment, subscribe, all of the things that they do on YouTube. And I hope that you have a blessed day. If you feel overwhelmed in your own situation and you're reaching out for help, let me just give you a little bit of encouragement. In Philippians 1, it says, I'm sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. He's not going to forget you. He's not going to let you go. So I hope that you can feel his warm embrace today and always. And we'll see you next time.